The beginner stage is the very first step in learning English, and it is often both exciting and challenging. At this stage, learners usually know only a few basic words and phrases, such as hello, goodbye, thank you, or sorry. While these words may seem simple, they are essential building blocks for communication. Many beginners feel nervous when speaking because they are afraid of making mistakes or being laughed at. This fear is completely normal and is one of the biggest obstacles in the early stages of language learning. During the beginner stage, learners often struggle with grammar, tenses, and sentence structure. It is common to feel confused about how to form questions or use verbs correctly. However, it is important to remember that communication is more important than perfection. Even if your sentences are broken or incomplete, being able to express your thoughts in English is already a significant achievement. Focusing on small, practical goals, such as learning common phrases for everyday situations, is more effective than trying to memorize complex grammar rules. For example, being able to say, "I would like some water," or ask, "Where is the bus stop?" can make a big difference in real-life interactions. Beginners should also start paying attention to pronunciation early, even if only for a few key words or phrases. Repeating words aloud and listening carefully to native speakers helps develop a natural accent and improves comprehension. Importantly, mistakes should be seen as opportunities to learn rather than setbacks. Every fluent English speaker began as a beginner, struggling with simple phrases and feeling uncertain. The key at this stage is persistence, patience, and taking small steps consistently. By embracing these principles, beginners can gradually build confidence and move toward more advanced levels of English fluency. One of the most important factors in learning English effectively is consistency. Many learners make the mistake of studying intensively for one day, perhaps for several hours, and then not practicing at all for the rest of the week. While this approach may feel productive at the moment, it does not lead to long-term improvement. Learning a language is similar to physical exercise. You cannot expect to build strength by going to the gym just once a month. Instead, small, daily practice is far more effective. Even 15 to 20 minutes of focused English study every day can create significant results over time. This principle is sometimes called the daily habit effect. The key is to make English a natural part of your daily routine, rather than a task that feels burdensome. Simple strategies can help integrate English into everyday life. For example, you can listen to a short podcast or an English song while commuting or cooking. You can also change your phone, computer, or social media settings to English, ensuring that you are constantly exposed to the language. Consistency does not mean long, exhausting study sessions. It means showing up every day, even if only for a few minutes. Over time, these small daily efforts accumulate, building fluency almost automatically. Daily practice helps learners internalize vocabulary, improve pronunciation, and feel more comfortable using English in real situations. Furthermore, consistent exposure reduces the fear of making mistakes, as learners become familiar with the sounds, patterns, and structures of English. In short, creating a daily English habit is not about studying harder, it is about studying smarter and integrating the language naturally into your life. By committing to small, consistent actions every day, learners can gradually turn English from a challenge into a natural part of their routine, laying a strong foundation for fluency. After establishing a consistent daily habit, the next crucial step in your English learning journey is to build a strong foundation. A solid foundation is the set of core skills that supports all further progress. Without it, advancing to higher levels of fluency becomes much more difficult. The foundation includes basic grammar, essential vocabulary, useful phrases, and clear pronunciation. Grammar is an important part of this foundation, but beginners don't need to memorize every rule at once. Instead, focus on understanding simple sentence structures, basic tenses, and forming questions. For example, knowing the difference between I eat, I am eating, and I will eat is already a powerful start. These basic structures allow you to communicate effectively in everyday situations. Vocabulary and common phrases are equally essential. Rather than trying to memorize thousands of words, start with the 500 to 1,000 most frequently used words in daily life. Learn phrases like, "How are you?" "I don't understand," or "Can you help me?" These sentences are practical tools for communication and provide a foundation for more complex conversations. Pronunciation is often overlooked by beginners, but early practice saves time and effort later. Listening carefully to native speakers and repeating short sentences helps learners develop clear pronunciation and natural rhythm. Even simple exercises, such as repeating words aloud or mimicking dialogues from podcasts or videos, can make a significant difference. By focusing on these 4 elements: grammar, vocabulary, phrases, and pronunciation, learners equip themselves with the tools to progress confidently. A strong foundation makes it easier to understand more complex English, communicate naturally, and continue building listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. Remember, a well-built foundation is the key to long-term fluency, providing stability and confidence as you advance in your English learning journey. Listening is one of the most powerful and often overlooked skills in learning English. Before children speak their first words, they spend months just listening to their parents and the environment around them. Similarly, for English learners, listening comes first, and speaking naturally follows. By focusing on listening, learners train their brain to recognize patterns, sentence structures, word connections, and even the rhythm and intonation of English. To develop listening skills effectively, it is important to listen every day, even for a short period. Short English podcasts, like this one, are a perfect tool. Even if you don't understand every word, you will gradually catch the main ideas and get used to the flow of English. Movies and TV shows are also excellent resources. Beginners can start with subtitles, but over time, try watching without them to challenge your comprehension and train your ears. Music can make listening practice more enjoyable. Listening to English songs and trying to catch lyrics improves both vocabulary and pronunciation. However, active listening is even more effective than passive listening. Active listening involves pausing audio, repeating sentences aloud, and mimicking the speaker's tone and intonation. This approach trains your brain not just to hear English, but to respond to it. The more you listen, the more your brain starts to think in English instead of translating from your native language. This shift is a critical step toward fluency. Listening daily, even for 10 minutes, builds comprehension, increases confidence, and lays the groundwork for speaking naturally. In short, listening is the secret weapon of language learning. It exposes you to real English, helps you internalize patterns, and prepares you to respond with accuracy and ease. By making listening a daily habit, learners develop the foundation for confident communication and long-term fluency. Speaking is often the most challenging and intimidating skill for English learners. Many can read, write, or even understand spoken English, but when it comes to speaking, they freeze or struggle to find the right words. This fear usually comes from worrying about making mistakes, not knowing vocabulary, or sounding silly. However, mistakes are not failures, they are essential steps in learning and improving. Every fluent English speaker started as a beginner and made countless errors along the way. The key to speaking fluently is to start small and practice regularly. One effective technique is self-talk, speaking out loud to yourself in English. Describe your daily activities, for example, I am cooking rice, or I am going to work. This builds confidence and trains your brain to form sentences naturally. Another helpful method is to record your voice. Listening to recordings allows you to notice progress over time, identify areas to improve, and adjust your pronunciation or sentence structure. Practicing with other people is also valuable. You can speak with friends, online language partners, or even imitate dialogues from TV shows or podcasts. The most important principle is not to wait until your English is perfect to start speaking. Fluency comes from using English actively, not just thinking about it. By engaging in regular speaking practice, learners gradually reduce fear, expand their vocabulary, and develop the ability to express themselves clearly. Additionally, it is important to be patient and persistent. Speaking fluently takes time and repeated effort, but consistent practice will lead to noticeable improvements. Overcoming the fear of speaking opens the door to confidence in conversations, better pronunciation, and faster language acquisition. In short, speaking is the bridge between knowledge and real communication, and consistent practice is the key to crossing it successfully. Reading and writing are essential components of fluency, even for learners whose primary goal is to speak English. These skills not only expand vocabulary but also help learners understand how sentences are constructed and how grammar is used naturally in context. Reading provides exposure to real-life language patterns and introduces new words in meaningful situations, which is far more effective than memorizing isolated word lists. Beginners should start with simple and engaging materials, such as short stories, children's books, or easy news articles. Just a few minutes of reading each day can make a significant difference over time. As learners progress, they can gradually move to longer articles, novels, or specialized texts that match their interests. The goal is to build comprehension and expand vocabulary in a way that feels manageable and enjoyable. Writing practice is equally important because it helps learners organize their thoughts in English and reinforces grammar and vocabulary. Beginners can start by keeping a daily journal, writing a few sentences about their day, such as, "Today I went to school. I met my friend. We had coffee." Writing does not need to be formal. Short messages, social media posts, or emails to friends in English are also effective exercises. Additionally, writing enhances speaking skills. When learners write, they practice forming sentences and selecting appropriate words, which directly supports verbal communication. By integrating reading and writing into daily routines, learners strengthen the foundation that makes speaking more confident and fluent. In short, reading and writing are complementary skills that reinforce listening and speaking. Even small, consistent efforts in these areas contribute to overall fluency. By making reading and writing a daily habit, learners not only expand their language knowledge but also develop the ability to think and express themselves clearly in English. Immersion is one of the most effective strategies for achieving fluency in English. Many learners think that immersion requires moving to an English-speaking country, but this is not true. Immersion simply means surrounding yourself with English in your daily life, creating an environment where the language becomes natural and unavoidable. By integrating English into everyday routines, learners train their brain to think, respond, and communicate in English more effortlessly. There are many practical ways to create immersion at home or anywhere. One simple method is to change the language settings on your phone, computer, and social media accounts to English. Suddenly, every notification, menu, and message becomes an opportunity to engage with the language. Another technique is thinking in English instead of translating from your native language. For example, when you see a bus, say to yourself, "The bus is coming," or describe everyday objects and actions in English. This habit strengthens your mental connection with the language. Labeling objects around your home, such as doors, mirrors, or windows, is another effective strategy. Every time you see the label, your brain links the English word with the real object, reinforcing vocabulary in context. Additionally, consuming English media consistently, watching movies, listening to podcasts, following YouTube channels, and even reading social media content in English immerses you in natural language usage. The key principle of immersion is making English part of your life rather than a subject you study. The more English surrounds you, the less intimidating it feels, and the more it becomes a natural tool for thinking and communication. Over time, immersion helps learners internalize grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary almost subconsciously, creating a strong foundation for speaking, listening, reading, and writing fluently. In short, immersion transforms learning from a task into a lifestyle. By surrounding yourself with English daily, you accelerate your progress and move closer to fluency with confidence and ease. After building a strong foundation and surrounding yourself with English, many learners reach a stage called the intermediate plateau. At this point, progress feels slower and less noticeable. Initially, learning can feel fast and exciting, new words are learned every day, and simple sentences start to come naturally. However, once learners reach the intermediate level, they often feel stuck. They may understand some English, hold short conversations, and read basic texts, yet their improvement seems to slow down. This plateau is a normal part of language learning, and it does not mean failure. To overcome this plateau, learners need to push themselves beyond their comfort zone. For example, if you usually watch simple English videos, try watching slightly more advanced content. If you typically read short texts, move on to longer articles or novels. For speaking practice, aim to tell a story, give opinions, or explain concepts in detail rather than sticking to basic sentences. This forces you to use new vocabulary, more complex grammar, and varied sentence structures, which accelerates learning. Another effective strategy is to set small, achievable challenges. For instance, commit to learning 10 new words each week and using them in conversation, or watch one English video every day for a week. These small goals provide motivation and a sense of accomplishment, which is essential for breaking through stagnation. Finally, patience and persistence are key. Feeling stuck is normal, and every learner experiences it. The important thing is to keep practicing, experimenting, and challenging yourself consistently. With time and effort, progress will resume, and learners will gain more confidence, fluency, and flexibility in using English. In short, The intermediate plateau is not a dead end but a signal to adapt your learning strategies. By stepping out of your comfort zone, setting goals, and staying persistent, you can overcome the plateau and continue your journey toward fluency. Achieving fluency in English is not only about mastering vocabulary or grammar, it is also about developing the right mindset. The fluency mindset focuses on learning to think directly in English rather than translating from your native language. Many learners struggle because they mentally translate every word before speaking. This slows down speech, creates hesitation, and can make conversations feel unnatural. Developing a fluency mindset helps learners respond quickly and confidently in real situations. One key strategy is to connect English words with ideas directly, rather than linking them to your native language. For example, when you see a cat, think cat instead of your native word. This strengthens your brain's association with English concepts and reduces reliance on translation. Over time, this method allows you to form sentences quickly and naturally. Another technique is to practice speaking to yourself in English throughout the day. Even simple sentences, such as I am making tea or I need to go out, help train your mind to process English in real time. The more you engage in this internal dialogue, the easier it becomes to think and respond in English automatically. Developing a fluency mindset also involves embracing mistakes as part of the learning process. Fluent speakers do not speak perfectly, they speak confidently and adjust as they go. Accepting imperfection allows learners to communicate without fear and focus on conveying meaning rather than worrying about grammar. In essence, fluency is as much about the way you think as it is about the language itself. By training your brain to operate in English, connecting words directly with ideas, and practicing internal dialogue daily, learners develop the mental flexibility and confidence needed for fluent communication. A strong fluency mindset transforms English from a subject studied into a language naturally used for thinking and expressing yourself. Once you have built a strong foundation, developed listening and speaking skills, and created a fluency mindset, the next step is to apply practical daily tips that ensure steady progress. Consistency is key, and even small, focused actions each day can lead to significant improvements over time. The first tip is to practice a little every day. Just 15 to 20 minutes of focused English study is far more effective than long, irregular sessions. Daily exposure helps reinforce vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, making English a natural part of your routine. The second tip is not to fear mistakes. Speaking, writing, or trying new words may lead to errors, but mistakes are valuable learning opportunities. Embrace them as guides to improve rather than obstacles. Third, mix up your practice. Listening to podcasts, reading articles, writing short journals, and speaking with others in English provides variety, making learning engaging and effective. Variety also exposes you to different vocabulary, sentence structures, and real-life usage, strengthening all areas of your language skills simultaneously. Fourth, set small, achievable goals. For example, aim to learn 5 new words a day, speak in English for 10 minutes, or watch one English video daily. These small wins create motivation, build confidence, and provide a clear sense of progress. Finally, immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Watch movies, follow English social media accounts, read articles, or even think in English. The more English surrounds you, the faster your brain adapts to understanding and using the language naturally. In short, daily practice, embracing mistakes, mixing methods, setting goals, and immersion are practical strategies that accelerate learning. When applied consistently, these tips turn English from a subject you study into a language you actively use, helping you move step by step from beginner to fluent with confidence and ease. Learning English can sometimes feel challenging, and progress may appear slow, especially when tackling new grammar, vocabulary, or speaking skills. However, it is important to remember that every small step counts. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, and every minute you spend practicing brings you closer to fluency. Progress in language learning is gradual, and consistent effort accumulates over time. One key source of motivation is to celebrate small victories. These could be simple achievements like understanding a movie without subtitles, having your first full conversation in English, or successfully using a new phrase in real life. These moments are powerful reminders of how far you have come and reinforce your commitment to continue learning. By acknowledging these wins, learners maintain a positive mindset and the confidence needed to keep moving forward. Consistency and patience are your best friends on this journey. Even if progress feels slow, showing up every day even for just 10 to 20 minutes of practice creates meaningful improvements over time. Language learning is not a race, it is a journey. Enjoy the process, embrace mistakes as learning opportunities, and stay persistent. Another important motivator is belief in yourself. Every fluent English speaker started as a beginner, facing fears and uncertainties. If they succeeded, you can too. Trust in your ability to improve and commit to the daily habits and strategies that build fluency. In short, the journey from beginner to fluent English speaker requires patience, consistency, and self-belief. Stay motivated by celebrating achievements, embracing challenges, and enjoying the learning process. With determination and practice, fluency is not only possible, it is inevitable. Remember, you have the power to achieve your English goals, and every step you take matters. Keep going, stay positive, and believe in yourself.